This is Performance Insight with Dr. Abiola Salami.
This is Dr. Abiola Salami, the world-class performance strategist. I believe that you can be a champion of excellence in your workplace, wherever you are in the world. Whether you're a man or a woman, old or young, a professional or an entrepreneur, I believe that you can be that example of excellence in your industry and in your family. As we celebrate Easter this week, I have some thoughts I would like to share with you, inspired by one of Jesus' disciples, Judas Iscariot, and I've titled this Judas Energy: Contemporary Lessons from a Historic Betrayal.
You are listening to Performance Insight with Dr. Abiola Salami, the world-class performance strategist, a platform curated to build models of excellence in the African marketplace.
One of the betrayal the world has ever witnessed. This is one betrayal that can teach modern leaders everything about emotional mastery. It is a tale of the most expensive 30 silver coins in history, when proximity breeds contempt, when the power of a pause could have saved Judas, but it did not do it, and how Judas missed an opportunity to apologize and save his life instead of allowing his inner critic to become his own executor. And we will be sharing some insights on this on mastering emotional intelligence. At some point in our lives, whether in business, leadership, or personal relationships, we have all met a Judas. That friend who backstabbed us, the team member who switched sides, the investor who bailed right before the breakthrough. But before we point fingers, let us pause, because sometimes we are the Judas in our own story, betraying our values, compromising our vision, or making emotionally irrational decisions that sabotage our progress. What I'm sharing with you right now is not just a reflection on the infamous betrayal. It is a leadership audit, a psychological deep dive, and yes, a case study on how emotional intelligence could have rewritten one of history's most tragic choices. So, buckle up, champions. We are going back 2,000 years to extract modern lessons from an ancient mistake. And the first lesson is that emotional intelligent people don't trade long-term legacy for short-term relief. Talking about ROI, that is return on investment, and in this case, return on betrayal. Judas Iscariot, one of the original 12 disciples, handed over Jesus Christ for the cost of a used goat. Yes, 30 silver coins at that time was the cost of a used goat. When you adjust it for inflation today, that comes to about between 200 to 300 in today's value. And then, why did Judas do it? Yeah, it may be greed. We can say he was disillusioned. We can say it's because of his ego, highly likely. Or we can say it's poor emotional regulation, which is definitely yes. In recent years, the business world has seen this lesson play out again and again. One example that easily comes to mind is Adam Newman with WeWork. Newman had it all. He had funding, he had cult-like following, and he had media buzz. But a lack of self-awareness and poor impulse control led to an implosion of the company's IPO dreams in 2019. Investors were furious, employees were disillusioned, the board kicked him out. Just like Judas, Adam traded impact for indulgence, proof that emotional intelligence trumps charisma every now and then. The second lesson is proximity without emotional regulation can turn trust into treachery. It is important we know that proximity without emotional regulation can turn trust into treachery. Judas was not a stranger. He was in the inner circle of Jesus. He broke bread with Jesus. They were colleagues. In fact, they were friends. But here's the trap. Familiarity can blind you to greatness. We see this often in leadership teams. You mentor someone, invest in them, give them access, and then one day they undermine your authority in a board meeting or quit to launch a rival company with your client list. OpenAI's leadership turmoil is a recent parallel to this. In 2023, the CEO, Sam Altman, was abruptly fired by the board, only to be reinstated within days due to backlash from staff and investors. The story smelled of poor emotional management at the highest level. A classic case of ego clashing with vision. Had those board members used EI skills like empathy, conflict management, and situational awareness, a public mess might have been avoided. So, proximity without emotional regulation can turn trust into treachery. The third lesson is knowing that emotionally intelligent people know how to pause before reacting. After Jesus told his disciples that one of them would betray him, Judas still went through with it. However, with emotional intelligence, he would have created space to pause and reflect. Have you ever written a scathing email and you hit send and immediately you felt a regret? That's Judas energy. High emotional intelligence individuals take 24 hours, check with a coach or a mentor and ask, this email that I'm about to send, this decision I'm about to make, will it move me forward or will it fuel destruction? According to a Harvard Business Review study, 90% of top performers have high emotional intelligence, and one of their greatest strengths is delayed gratification and delayed response. So it is important that we learn to pause before we react. When we pause before we react, we have the capacity to think, to weigh our choices before saying or doing something that will destroy us. The fourth lesson from Judas energy is emotional intelligence empowers you to seek redemption and not retreat. Now, here's what is wild. Judas never had a reconciliation moment. He returned the money and he chose death over dialogue. He chose death over repentance. If you have met me in one of our closed door sessions on leadership, you will be familiar with the way we use Will Smith's story, the Will Smith story at Oscars in 2022. How we use it as a case study. After that infamous slap, Will Smith's journey included a public apology, a therapy, and a deep reflection. Was it perfect? No, but it was something. He didn't disappear. He processed. He did something. He did something to seek redemption, not retreat. He understood that emotional intelligence does not prevent mistakes. Rather, it equips you to recover from your mistakes. The fifth lesson, Judas's energy, is understanding that emotional intelligence helps to manage shame and failure without self-destruction. Judas' final mistake wasn't the betrayal. It was how he responded to his own guilt. Judas was overwhelmed with shame. He died by suicide. He killed himself. It's a tragic reminder that inner emotional chaos can destroy even the strongest personnel. In entrepreneurship, failure is inevitable. In your profession and your career, failure is inevitable. Startups crash. Teams collapse, deals die. What makes or breaks a founder is not the failure, it is the emotional response to it. What makes or breaks a professional is not failure, it's your response to it. Failure is inevitable. How you respond to it is what makes the difference. There's a study by UC Berkeley, and they found that emotionally intelligent entrepreneurs and professionals bounce back 50% faster from business failure than others. Now, they do this largely due to better emotional processing, resilience, and perspective. Emotional intelligence is not just about tears. It is about timing, tact, and tone. It's about understanding that you need to be resilient, and bouncing back makes you better. Understanding that a setback is a setup for a better comeback. And the sixth lesson on Judas's energy is that high performers who lack emotional intelligence, they become silent saboteurs. Now let's think about this. What if Judas wasn't just greedy, but if he was deeply insecure? What if he felt overshadowed by the performance of other disciples? What if he needed validation and he didn't get? Now, I know this flips the script. We see this often even in organization, when the star employee who hoards information, when the gifted chief marketing officer who subtly discredits the CEO, or a top salesperson who manipulates teammates because they are seeking validation, because of their deep insecurity, because they feel overshadowed, unheard by leadership. Now, these individuals often have high IQ but low EQ. They are brilliant but brittle, and it's important that as leaders we pay attention to our team members. Now, this may be funny, but true test of EI. For example, when you clap back in a meeting and you regretted it, you said something you shouldn't have said because you perceive someone that is trying to undermine you, and then you said something and you regretted it. Or you felt jealous of someone's success and you didn't really explore the root of your jealousy. Or you ghosted a hard conversation instead of owning your truth, submitting yourself, and open to receiving feedback. Yes, it means you are human, but emotional intelligence calls you to be a better human on purpose. The good news is, most of us don't have to carry the weight of history's worst betrayal in Judas's energy. You don't have to continue to express Judas' energy in our contemporary times, but we do need to master our emotions before the emotions master us. Here are 7 things that you can do to cultivate this habit in today's marketplace. 1. Pause before you pounce. Whether it's a deal, a reply, or a decision, take a deep breath before you respond. 2. Name your emotions. I'm not just angry. I feel betrayed, insecure, or overlooked. Name it to know what exactly it is. 3. Practice reflective journaling. Like a leadership therapist in your notebook, write things down. When you write things down, it helps you to review them over time and you see the objectivity in your irrational behavior. 4 is seek feedback. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. It is not affirmation you are seeking real feedback. The feedback that stretches your self-awareness. Affirmation is good, but affirmation alone does not help you to really see your blind spot. It's important that you are open to receiving feedback. Number 5, grow your empathy muscle. Empathy says seek first to understand before you are understood. Put yourself in the shoes of the other person, in the shoes of your client, in the conversation, in the shoes of your team member, in the conversation, in the shoes of your partner, in the conversation, and it will help you to understand them better and you gain insights that will help you to relate productively with them. Number 6, build shame resilience. Learn to say I missed it. Learn to say I messed up. Learn to accept it is my fault. And then don't just accept, move forward. And number 7, normalize emotional hygiene. What is emotional hygiene? Seeking therapy, seeking coaching, going for retreats. It's leadership maintenance. None of us is smart enough. Every one of us, we need to normalize emotional hygiene by getting therapy, by getting coaches, by attending retreats to help us to make us better. In conclusion, let us remember that Judas had proximity to greatness, but he lacked the emotional strength to steward that greatness. You, on the other hand, you have access to more tools, knowledge, coaches, therapists, retreats, apps, journals, mentors, leadership courses than Judas ever dreamed of. You can begin your journey by getting my book, The Magic of Emotional Intelligence. You can also sign up for my virtual course on the magic of emotional intelligence, so that Judas's story will be a mirror and not just a mockery. Your emotions are not the enemy, they are messengers. Emotional intelligence is not weakness, it is wisdom in action. And Easter is not just about resurrection, it is about choosing growth after betrayal, peace after pain, and emotional mastery after meltdown. So go out there, lead boldly, love wisely, and for heaven's sake, don't sell your purpose for 30 coins and a guilty conscience. And let me give you a quick model to help you remember your emotional intelligence goals using the JUDAS framework. J, just pause before reacting. U, understand your emotional patterns. D, develop empathy daily. A, ask for feedback. And S, stand in truth with grace. Once again, you can continue your emotional intelligence journey by getting a copy of my book, The Magic of Emotional Intelligence. You can also sign up for the virtual course, The Magic of Emotional Intelligence. To level up emotional intelligence on your team, you can contact us on +234 702666 8008 or email us on hello@abiolachamp.com. You can follow me on social media at Abiola Champ. That is Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can just look for Dr. Abiola Salami on LinkedIn. You can send me a DM right there to begin your journey on grooming yourself for emotional intelligence, so that Judas's energy doesn't rob you of the greatness ahead of you in your career, in your business, and in life. You can also subscribe to my YouTube page where you can watch more videos on emotional intelligence. Simply look for Dr. Abiola Salami on YouTube, subscribe to the link, and share with your friends and colleagues as well, so that we'll build a culture of peak performance, not just for your organization and not just for your country, but all over Africa. Always remember, I love you, I believe in you, and I look forward to celebrating the greatness ahead of you. Until the next time, keep rocking your world like a champion.
Thank you for listening to Performance Insights with Dr. Abiola Salami, the world-class performance strategist. This is a platform curated to build models of excellence in the African marketplace. You can follow Dr. Abiola Salami at Abiola Champ on all social media platforms or send an email to the team on hello@abiolachamp.com. For more inquiries, call 0702 666 8008.